Probably the first thing that we should talk about is those who have fiduciary responsibilities. So each plan should have a named fiduciary. It could be an individual, or it could be an audit committee, or it could be the board for the organization. Fiduciaries are the individuals that maintain the discretion and control over the plan. So a few things that are being looked at closely that we want to talk about today. One has to do with employee contributions. Employee contributions need to be remitted in a timely manner. So that means that if you've demonstrated that you can process your payroll and remit your employee contributions within 2 days, then that should be consistent. So for example, this year in one of the audits that I was working on, we had a plan where they consistently remitted their contributions within 2 days, but they had 2 payroll periods where it was extremely different. And when we went back and talked to the client, it was because the individual responsible for remitting the contributions had been on vacation and there was no backup. But that ends up being reported in your plan audit and on your 5500. So it's important as a fiduciary to make sure that you have backup controls in place when someone's on vacation. Another area has to do with fees. You are responsible for understanding the fees that are charged to your plan and the services that are being provided. A mutual fund might pay a top broker or a salesperson a fee for promoting their mutual fund. And these are all part of the fees that should be disclosed back to you as a fiduciary. And you need to make sure that you understand what these fees are and that they are reasonable. So plan management is responsible for investment valuation and financial statement disclosures relating to those valuations. So that means that even if you have an outside investment custodian, you need to make sure that you obtain enough information that you can evaluate and challenge the valuations that have been made. So a few examples of how you can monitor the valuations of your investment is to make sure that you're communicating with your investment manager on a regular basis. Go ahead and read those monthly and quarterly reports that you're receiving, and also communicate with the service that's providing the pricing, and understand their methodology for pricing the investments. What we're really saying is that overall as a fiduciary, you're responsible for monitoring your service providers. And so you need to understand the services that they are providing. You need to read their reports. You need to communicate with them on a regular basis. But another resource that you have that is extremely helpful is to obtain their SOC1 Type 2 report. This report is provided by an independent accountant who tests the internal controls and processes that are in place at your service provider. And this report lets you know what is in place at your service provider. So one of the things that you want to look at when you get a hold of this report is there's an opinion in it. So you want to look at it and see if it's in a clean opinion. This will let you know that their controls are operating effectively, and this will give you some reliance on the controls that are in place with your service provider. The other important piece of information that is in this report that you need to make sure you're looking at is the user consideration section. So the user consideration section lets you know, as the fiduciary, the controls that you need to have in place at your organization in order to place reliance on the service provider's controls so that you can make sure that your plan is operating effectively. So these are a few ways that you can, as a fiduciary, demonstrate your fiduciary responsibilities and make sure that your plan is in compliance under these times of increased regulatory scrutiny.